Alrighty, hello. We're looking at something called freedom of movement. Now, I don't know if I've necessarily heard of this term. This comes to us from a channel called Migrants' Rights Network. It can be linked down below, so you can check out this whole video and, of course, browse their channel. It comes to us from a suggestion from Liza. So thank you for that. I guess we're just going to hop right into it because I'm not really sure what we're referencing here. So it should be pretty interesting.
Free movement has profoundly shaped my life. When I was 18 and I found the things I wanted to study were in Italy and in the UK, eventually I was able to pursue that. When then in London I met a person I fell in love with, I was able to pursue him when I found out he lived in Amsterdam. When we found the things we wanted to work with in London, we were both able to come and live here. So it's everything, I would say, my current family, my friendships, my job, my education are consequences of me being able to enjoy the freedom of movement.
Until some years ago, only the rich and the powerful were able to freely move around and be with whoever they wanted, work whatever they wanted. Now that freedom has become part of something that common people can do. So everybody can freely move and they don't have to ask for permission. So it's that control that was there before now has disappeared, and it's about the people, really. We've gone a lot more about that democracy, the power to the people, let's say.
I think that...
Okay, so this is talking about moving between countries? Is that what we're talking about? Wow. Yeah, that's very convenient, obviously. I feel like I guess I assumed, I feel like I pretty much already knew from I guess other videos hinting at that you can just go from one country to the other, right? I mean, I guess I've seen driving videos where you just drive, say you're in Germany, right? And you're driving and then it says, oh, welcome to the Netherlands, right? It's just a sign, kind of, for me, reminded of driving between states. You cross the border, oh, another state, welcome to Iowa, welcome to Wisconsin, whatever, right? Is that what we're talking about here? In that case, I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. As far as I know, that, yeah, you can just, whether you're on a train or car or whatever, you just go to the next country and that's it. That's obviously different than some places in the world, especially from my perspective. I've lived on the border of another country for a while. We lived in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is part of the El Paso, Texas statistical area. So we were in El Paso a lot, and that is literally on the border with Mexico. That is a unique crossing along the huge border, only in the fact that they have the Bridge of the Americas there. And for American standards, you can very easily pass into Mexico and pretty easily pass back into Texas. But other than that, yeah, it's a nightmare to go to Canada or Mexico. So we have freedom of movement, I guess you could say, in between states. That's easy. And thank goodness, right? At least we have that. But it's not just one of those things you wake up and you're like, oh, I want to go to Canada, right? You don't just drive up and go through. It's not how it works here, unfortunately.
For my generation, it is really completely natural. I think it's hard for us to imagine what it would be like if we didn't have that, if we didn't have the ability to jump on a plane and go for a city break somewhere in one of the European cities, if we didn't have the option to study in another country if we chose to do so, if we didn't have the ability to choose to work somewhere else and gain experience in another European country.
Okay, so first point, it would suck not to have that. Yes, of course, in Europe, that would suck not to be able to easily just travel to other countries around you. But this is stuff I don't know. So you can just choose a school in a different country and pretty easily just go there? Is that right? Is that what I'm gathering? Same with a job. If you are... you can just get a job in a different country. I don't know. If you guys want to weigh in on that, this is going to be good for comments, trying to teach me some things, because I guess that's stuff I've never really thought of and came across in any of these videos. I know you can travel easily between them, so that's cool. But how far does that go? jobs, schooling? Is that easy to go between countries for that as well? Sounds like it
With free
might
movement, you're able to have a lot more diverse population. You have a lot more multilingual people that can contribute to society, to the arts, to employment. You have people who are coming here who can contribute to an increasingly diverse society, diverse economy, and I think that's very, very rich.
Oh, of
I
course,
think it's,
yeah.
it's just
I think it's
the
a good
simple
thing.
freedom to be able to go to different countries, to travel, to work, study, live.
I think the freedom of movement gives us security. The fact that we have Europeans in different European countries at the moment, and the fact that we are so intertwined gives us the security. It means that we need to work together, and it means that the governments of the various European countries must work together as well to resolve any potential problems that we have together.
We have to remember that
I mean, yeah, I think each of the countries retains their identity and cultures and stuff, obviously. I think it also kind of promotes a sort of interconnection between the countries, right? I would assume, like on some sort of level, it's feels a little more unified, right? To an extent.
that's why the EU was created, because we've had war in the continent for most of our history, and the fact that we have become interdependent, interconnected, that means that, and we've grown into the understanding of each other, that we've kind of ensured that there is not going to be war, because it's not good for any of us.
No, yeah, that's not good. So what about the countries that aren't in the EU? Because obviously there's some countries in Europe that aren't in the EU. Can you just freely move between those and an EU country?
Obviously, EU migrants also pay tax. They pay into the welfare system and make it richer.
There was a study that showed that for each pound 30 that EU migrants
£1.30.
contribute
That's
in
British,
taxes,
right?
they only take in about £1 in terms of the services and so forth.
I think British people would lose the same thing that I would lose in principle, and they would lose the opportunity to be able to pursue perhaps the studies that they want to pursue that happen.
Okay, I just checked. This is from 2016. Jeez, I did not know. Some videos I watch, I'm not aware of how old they are. This is hella old. 2016, jeez. Now they're talking about Britain. This might have been before Brexit, right? Is that what we're talking about here? Kind of sounds like obviously that means they're not part of the EU anymore. So how does that affect
In
that?
the same way, if they meet someone and fall in love, they might not be able to pursue that. Or they might still insist on pursuing it, but it would definitely be much more difficult.
I mean, are British people ready to give up a right that they've earned and that they can use if they want to?
Wow,
I mean,
this
I
is
understand
referencing
not
that.
everybody necessarily wants to go and live in a
No
different country,
kidding.
but they can, and their children will be able to do it. And losing such a right, which is such a great step we've taken towards that democracy, towards equality, it would be such a big mistake.
The freedom of movement will happen regardless of whether the UK remains in Europe or not. It will be something that will happen because it needs to happen. The UK is an international business centre. It
Right.
requires the skills that Europeans has to offer. It needs those to prosper.
That's true. I have never really covered or learned about the whole Brexit thing. So without going too deep into that, I mean, the UK is still a pretty strategic place, right? Especially like London. I'm sure there's, like they just said, lots of commerce, business involved with other countries throughout Europe, right? So how does that work after they leave? And how does freedom of movement, I guess? I mean, obviously you're allowed to go to the UK and vice versa, right? Like if you want to go between, let's say, France and the UK, you're still, obviously I would assume you're still able to do that, but maybe it has different terms now. I'm not sure.
To be the
That
great
I don't
country
know.
That it is.
If there would be one thing I could say to the people of Britain about free movement, that would be, don't give it up. It's your right. It's about opportunities. It's your chance to have a new life anywhere else. It's your chance to meet your soulmate and be able to have a great relationship in 28 countries.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty cool, right? I mean, it's a cool video explaining the benefits, the pretty obvious benefits of something like this freedom of movement would offer. And yeah, once you wouldn't want to give that up. Obviously, it's really nice and convenient and gives you plenty of opportunities. I feel like Europe is somewhere, just because of how it is, how much culture and differences and opportunities there would be. I feel like it's a place where you need, in theory, like I think of it, I've done this before and I know it's different, so calm down if you want to yell at me, but hold on. Like, I think of Europe in sort of a distant way of like, you have all these different countries that you can go to pretty easily, just like here you go to different states very easily, right? Obviously different, it's not the same. With Europe, it's even more of an impact because going from Illinois to Iowa is definitely less of a culture shock than going from Germany to France or the Netherlands to Belgium. Like, it's going to be, more unique experiences in Europe, obviously. So being able to do that very easily is a great thing. And I don't think you'd want to not be able to do that. Now, obviously, this video didn't work for, keeping the UK in the EU. Those kind of results from that are kind of above my head. But I imagine for the common person, you're still able to go between like EU and UK to an extent, right? But anyway, I mean, this is pretty cool. It's funny because I guess like living in the US is a weird scenario, weird perspective watching something like this, just because, it is a big country. I guess on one hand, it's good that it's so big and diverse, and there's so many beautiful states to see and cultures to kind of embrace and cuisine to, try out. I mean, on one hand, that's good because of American work culture and not great benefits for work and, I don't know, like cost of travel from the U.S. to anywhere else. It's hard. It's hard for a lot of people to travel. I mean, me included. I guess I've been sort of to Mexico and to Canada very vaguely, but that's about it. And it hasn't happened much. And unfortunately for me, I'm 31 and I haven't gotten to go beyond that, right? I haven't gotten to go to other continents at all, anywhere in Europe, anywhere in Australia, anywhere in Asia, Africa, South America, you name it. I haven't been able to accomplish that yet. So it like I said, on one hand, the USA can keep you entertained if you want, like for a long time. There's a lot of awesome stuff to see here. But at the same time, it is hard to travel out of here. And, flights is one thing to a different continent. That's kind of not really what we're talking about in this video. But that's hard enough. But of course, just driving down to Mexico or driving up to Canada, it's just not that simple. It's not something where you just drive through and it's like, oh, welcome to Canada, right? That's not how it works. It's a pain. And especially our southern border, it's really sketchy, right? There's always tension. There's military everywhere on both sides. It's not generally a pleasant experience. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, a lot of corruption. And so I guess in this regard, the U.S. does not have this like the EU does. I would love to see your comments on this. Keep up your awesome suggestions. And hey, I hope you have an awesome day today. That's all I got for you in this one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. And until next time, y'all. Catch you later.